Today, I'm going to show you how to take your product photography to the next level. Please keep in mind that there's two parts of this video to kind of break it up from the photography side of things and the Photoshop side of things. So just keep that in mind. Now, before we get to Photoshop, we need to take two photos. One being the base of the image and the second being the top section of the image. Okay, so let's discuss the setup. I have my AD600 Pro Strobe on a light stand and the power is set to 1/16. For my modifier, I'm going to use a 120cm Octagon umbrella softbox. For the backdrops, I've purchased two large A-green sheets of paper and one A2 red size paper from my local art store. Now for the first image, I'm going to set up my first green sheet of A1 paper flat on the backdrop. For the second sheet of green paper, I'm going to have it hung via the C-stand so it can curve down, and I will then set up some clamps on the sides to secure that onto the board. Please keep in mind, if you don't have a C-stand, that is totally fine. Do not fret, guys. Just move your table maybe up against the wall, so then you can maybe blue tack the second sheet of paper up on the wall and then have it hanging down onto the backdrop. Next, I'm going to put my camera on a tripod facing the product vertically. This will give me more height in the image, just so that you know why I've positioned it that way. My choice of lens for this shot is the 50mm prime lens, and my camera settings is at aperture f9, my shutter speed is at 1/200th of a second, and my ISO is at 100. I'm also live tethering my camera to my iMac so I can visually see a live preview from the setup to my screen, which is kind of handy. You don't need to do this, but I just like it. It's much better. But if you don't have a live tether setup, that's fine. Just use your camera. Now for my scene, I'll put in the product, position the props, and take the shot. After the first shot, I realized I need to add in a silver reflector just to kind of bounce light back in because it was a little bit dark, and also gives a nice kind of reflection back onto the glass, which is kind of super cool. But if you don't have a reflector, you can also use a white bounce card. That will do the trick too, to kind of brighten those dark shadows. And this is what we're looking at. I'm pretty happy with this shot, to be honest. I mean, look at the reflection of the glass. Everything looks spot on. Okay, so now that you got your first image, it's time to take the second image. Now, to achieve the top part of the image, we need to set up the scene for a flat lay shot. I place in the third piece of paper, which is the A2 red sheet of paper, underneath the product, and place the props as well in frames. Now for the light source, it's important that the light is coming from the top, casting a shadow diagonally down. Let me show you. See this? See how the shadow is kind of pointing down this way? That's what you want. Well, that's what I found works well. And to take the shot, I grab my camera off tripod, face it down, and take multiple vertical shots because I want that long shot. Keep in mind, we want the vertical shots, people. Make sure they're vertical. Also, just as a side note from what I've learned from these vertical shots, from top up, the ones that worked the best were the ones that were further away and weren't too cropped around the sides, so you had more space to work with. So just keep that in mind while you're taking your shots. Also, don't be afraid to take multiple shots, guys, because this will give you more options in post-production. So click away. And here is the final image, and now the two images side by side. Wow, guys, if you've come this far already, well done to you. 2 thumbs up. And it's time to head over to part 2 of this video where I show you how to stitch the two photos together. Let's go.